Welcome to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Dave.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to talk about what goes on in the village, the township. You know, those government entities that make laws, regulations, and ordinances that affect you out there.
That's right. And whether you live in the village of Oxford, the village of Leonard, Oxford Township, or Addison Township, these are the people, that you elected, and the commissions and the committees that make decisions that directly affect you, whether you attended that meeting or not. And that's why we're here.
Partially.
Partially?
Yes. We're here also.
I thought it was impartial.
No, this is partially, because partially we find where the humor's at.
Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down.
Yep. Yeah, whatever happens, it bubbles somewhere.
Yes,
and
indeed.
you folks eventually will catch it if you don't attend these meetings. So
That's
it's very
right.
important. And what was the other reason?
I don't think there isn't.
That was a trick question. There really wasn't. Well, let's get on with the meeting, shall we?
All right.
All right, there's two meetings, and the first one was Leonard Village Council, and the other one is the Oxford Village Council.
Oh.
Both village. And the Oxford Village Council meeting was quite lengthy. It ran about 3 hours, but we'll discuss that after the Leonard Village Council meeting, shall we?
3 hours. That's a real marathon.
3 hours. Wish you were there.
No, I don't.
Oh, excuse me. No, you were on a boat, and where?
I was over in the Adriatic and the Ionia Sea.
Yeah. And how did that little paddle boat work?
Well, the oar locks were a little sticky, but we made it.
I know you did. I think you got hung up at the airport more than you did in the
Yeah,
in the water.
they had a threatened air controller strike in all of Greece, and we were in the position of having to make other plans, but never came to pass.
That must have been
They canceled the strike.
Yeah, that must have been tough, being you couldn't control it.
That's true, but the air did.
The air
control
did.
it.
Okay, well, let's get on with the Leonard meeting, shall we?
All right.
All right. That meeting, of course, is conducted by Mike McDonald. And let me see, Southerby was there, and Nowak, or Norwaker, I think his name is, Norwaker. Yep, it is. And Hoffman.
Oh.
And so they had a quorum. They went on, they did the pledge, of course, and then, of course, they approved the agenda for that evening's meeting. They did a treasurer's report, and then, provided a approval for that. And then right after that, they talked about bills. Can you say ka-ching, ka-ching?
Well, I thought the treasurer would talk about bills.
No, actually, you know that there's more to the treasurer's report than just the bills.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, it's got all kinds of financial statements and everything in there.
Here's where we are, here's where we were.
Yeah, kind of like a P&L statement. That's why they don't want you to see it.
Are we climbing the hill, are we sliding down?
Right. And there he goes again, right? Okay, anyway, so the bills, as you know, they separate their payments into several different categories.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
It's rather unique. The first one comes out of the general fund. It was $8,465.12. The second one comes out of what they call the major fund, and it's quite major. It's $14,170.15.
Okay.
And then out of the local fund. And the local fund was $833.57.
Tell me that all three budgets are right on line.
Wait,
right where they should be.
I'm not done yet. There's more.
Oh.
Okay. There's also the mill, park fund, recreation fund that they can withdraw money. But the happy news is no money was taken out.
I see. Are you done yet?
I'm done now.
Okay.
Now, what would you like to say?
Are all the budgets right on target?
They're right on target.
Okay.
Yep. They were afraid they had to take in some more Coca-Cola cans and Pepsi cans and, get some money.
Pencils and tin cups on the corner?
Right. So anyway, they worked it out so they have the funds. Excuse me. Public non-agenda items. No one. No one want to raise their hand. Everybody ran out the door.
Was there anyone there?
Yeah, there were some people there.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but the ones that were there, when they said, public would like to speak, they all got up and left.
I see.
Apparently they didn't want to speak, right?
Put your hands on them.
Right, run for the hills. Any new business? Well, Historic Study Committee, they have a committee that's going to deal with trying to find out what's required to make downtown a historic area.
I see.
And what kind of grants are available, that kind of thing. So
Well, once they do that, they're kind of restricted on what changes they can make to the exterior of buildings, aren't they?
Well, they can put stipulations on that in terms of controlling the way the facade looks like and, to bring it back to the old, like 1920s, but I think they're pretty
Well-
much there now, aren't they, in the 1920s?
Oh yeah, well yeah. But
Leonard?
in terms of putting a modern Kmart in the middle of it, they
Oh,
might
no.
have to.
I think you'd see even the chipmunks out there with picket signs,
I see.
let alone the bears and the porcupines. Yeah, no, that would be a no-go. So then they did talk about the most important thing that's coming up, and that's the village Halloween trick-or-treat.
Ah,
Now you can...
and a curfew.
Yep. So you can pick out your costume now and get ready,
I see.
because they established a date, and it's going to be October 31st, which is Halloween Day.
No kidding.
No kidding. See, I know you marked it on your calendar a year in
Yeah,
advance,
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
you?
Little pumpkin.
I knew, yeah, a little pumpkin with a little smiley face.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, the Halloween day is when the kids can get out and trick or treat from 6 to 7 p.m. So it's got
And that's the
1
curfew.
hour.
That's the curfew.
That's the curfew. And then after 7 p.m., the fire department has their annual Halloween party.
Ah.
Yep. And that's where the adults and everybody get together and they have fun.
I mean, the kiddies don't go to that one?
I think they probably can in Leonard, but you might want to check with them for sure.
Sounds a
but-
little mysterious
Right.
there.
Right. It's going to be held at the Annex building. So right after the trick-or-treater kids are done, you can either shuffle them off or you can bring them with you, I guess. They probably won't want to go with you because they're going to have their bags of candy,
That's right.
more likely,
They're just at home getting hyper, waiting for you.
and having their own party at home. Right. So anyway, it sounds like they're going to have a great time over there in Leonard. Mike McDonald, who is the president, and I think he's the village manager too, in a sense that he controls funding there.
Oh, they combine both positions?
Well, I think he kind of I think he does. I'm pretty sure he does. Take a note.
Take a note.
By the way, I knew the other thing we were going to talk about is rumors, and this is one.
Oh,
We're going to spread.
Oh.
Mike McDonald, you're now the village manager, if not before. But, right? Write that down, just so, and we
so
can send a memo to
people
him.
will have their expectations.
Yeah. Actually, he's a pretty busy guy. He's got a full-time job, work for a company. I think he's an engineer or something along that
Okay.
line, but very active guy, and boy, he is very committed to the Leonard community. Does a great job
He
for
runs
you
a
folks
really
out
tight
there.
meeting, too.
He does. Old business, Trailhead water fountain. Remember the fountain they were going to put in? The Trailhead?
Oh,
we
that
talked
one.
about
Oh, wait a minute, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Is this the Pollyant Trail head?
Yeah, he had a divining rod, and they went out there and they found some water.
I see.
Stuck a hose in the ground, and there they have it. No.
Was this the one where they couldn't use the hand pump? Or is that a different
No,
one?
they can have a hand pump there, I think, but the water has to be tested. Make sure everything is good. And I guess most of the testing has gone through already and is complete. There's one additional test that needs to be done yet, and they haven't completed that.
It's called, what does it taste like?
No, what are those things swimming in it?
Ooh.
That's what they have to watch out for. But anyway, so they feel that it will go through. The test won't have a problem because there's no swimmies in it or things like that. So should be
Okay.
good. With that, we'll tell you more when we come back right after this.
Do you love local sports? Whether it's Oxford High School or Parks and Rec, you can buy copies of each game. To purchase your copy, call us at 248-628-9658 or give us an email at manager@occtv.org or talk to us at the next game. Hopefully we'll see you there.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we are talking about the Leonard Village Console. And we just got through talking about the well that they intend to put at the trailhead.
And yet to be tested.
Yet to be tested, yep. And so from there they said, well, is there any other business to be talked about? And they said, well, what about the DPW update? They said, yeah, that's true. He said the DPW, Department of Public Works, is recoating or filling the cracks from 4th Street to Gerst Road, and they've completed one lane of it.
That's a pavement.
That's pavement.
Okay.
And on the other side, they're working their way up now from the other side. You know, there's a lot of road construction going on out there, so now
Yeah.
is the time they say to do this. You know, so not as much traffic traveling through there.
As long as everyone's complaining anyhow, you might as well do it.
Yeah, might as well do it now. Yeah. How that tar get on my car? I have no idea. Must be those bears throwing it from the woods. I have no idea, but it wasn't. Couldn't be the DPW. Anyway, the village manager's report. He went on to say that there's no Freedom of Information request, so didn't have to deal with that. No CDBG applications, Community Development Block Grants.
Oh, you're
So
very
they
good.
can't fix anything. See, I know you were going to chime in there and say that, weren't you?
Yeah, but you just took it away from me, didn't you?
I could see
A
the
little moment of victory.
yeah, I could see little wrinkles on your forehead, and you're puckering up to do it, and I just beat you to it. Anyway, here we
Although
are.
you put the wrong accent on the wrong syllable.
I did?
It's CDBG.
Oh, close enough. Okay. Sounds like a machine gun over here. Anyway, the other thing that they dealt with, the ordinance enforcement issues. They have a location, I guess, at 104 North Basil Street where weeds are a problem. And they've had a constant complaint on it, so they
It's
sent
a
people.
rural
to
area.
take
There's
care of it.
weeds all over the place.
Yeah, weeds all are. Yeah, don't those people know that there's weeds out there?
Au natural.
Well, how do they get there? Well, how do those stones and rocks get there? I don't know. They just grow, right? But they could grow just about anything out there. in
Nature at
Leonard.
its finest.
Yeah, good soil out there. They could grow rocks and whatever. And weeds, anyway, they don't like the weeds, so they're getting rid of them. There is one of the members of the council said, "Hey, there's a dead tree over in the school. Whose responsibility is that? To get rid of that tree?" And so Mike McDonald said, "Well, it depends if it's on the easement or not. If it's on the easement, then we'd take care of it. If it's on the school grounds, then the school ground would have to take care of it." I bet you folks didn't know that, huh? Otherwise, the tree will just fall over.
Or if it's right on the line, they split it down in two and say, your half is there.
Have you ever seen the road crews come through where they cut off half the tree?
Yep.
What a good-looking tree that is. You can't even use those spruce trees for Christmas.
Kind of
You only
loses its
put
balance
against
as
the
it
wall.
leans the other way.
Right. But anyway, yeah, strange things happen when you don't take care of these trees. I guess the county gets involved or whatever. You could have a half a tree there. Trustees report. Let me see. One of the reports was that they did a great job in the summer festival. They actually had a profit, which is pretty neat. Pollyann Trail Council report on that was that there's tree trimming, and that's all finished between Boardman and Drainer Road, but some of the brush is still on the side, and they're going to take care of that. So just so you folks know.
Or need firewood.
Or need firewood. It's a little green now, probably.
Oh,
You
true.
have to wait till it dries out.
Season it.
Yeah, good. Okay. New sign on Old Mill. October 21st, they're going to be talking to a restoration company that's going to look at the flooring for the mill and foundation and check and see what needs to be done, if anything, to the foundation. Village Parks and Rec, October 22nd, is going to be the first Halloween walk for adults and children. Now, that's October 22nd. And the last thing that they talked about was the Transportation Authority. It's going to be on the ballot in November 8th, in the general election. Do not vote for it. You don't want it. It's not going to affect you here at all.
Well then.
It's going to affect you. You're going to pay extra tax and get nothing for it.
So much for your nonpartisan opinion.
Right? And actually, I was told to say this. So.
Oh, well then.
All right. Well, the next meeting we're going to talk about, of course, is quite extensive, and it was 3 hours long, and I was there. I'm sorry you weren't, but
No, I wasn't.
October.
I wasn't.
It was the Oxford Village Council meeting on October 11th. Sue Bassarded as chairperson, does a pretty good job with it. Sue Bema was there. Sue Bema, not Sue Bema.
Rose.
Rose Bema. And
I don't even go to these meetings. I know these
yeah.
names.
Well, I'm counting on you for all these notes that you've written in the past.
Yeah, right.
You had that. I know it was a note. You couldn't remember it. Eric Dolan and Helmuth was there.
Maureen.
See, now you knew that, and you didn't even look at your notes.
No.
Anyway, they made a forum, and Tom Kennis was out of town on business, so he couldn't attend. And he was excused. Pledge of Allegiance. Then they said, "Are there changes to the agenda?" And Sue Bassard said, "Yes, there is."
Uh-oh.
So she made a number of changes to the agenda. It's a good thing she did because it ran, as I said, 3 hours. And if she wouldn't have changed them and put some things on the back burner for the next meeting, we would still be there right about now, several days later. So anyway, so that was done. Joe Frost was the first presentation to be given. He's the executive director of the DDA. And by the way, he does a good job out there too. And he was wanted to present to the village council 3 individuals to take the place of vacancies on the DDA board.
Oh.
Rod Charles' term expired, Ed Hunwick, and Jerry Crimmins.
They're all leaving?
Right, except for Rod Charles, who said he would be reappointed if they would choose to do so.
I see.
And it's a 4-year term for all of these new assignments. So the DDA director suggested Rod Charles, Sam Barna, who's with he's assistant superintendent of business operations with Oxford High School, or the Oxford school system, and Regina Woodson, who is AAA insurance owner, and what do they call it? Individual
Proprietor?
controller. That's the word I was looking for.
Nice, mate.
See how he pulls it right out of the sky, just when I need it.
Yep.
Proprietor. Anyway, they have substantial background in financial, and these are 4-year terms. Of course, everybody knows Rod Charles. He has a strong business acumen and background. And
Just say Lone Ranger.
just say Lone Ranger is only one of the things that he's involved in. He's
I know.
involved in the school system and other things too. Very active.
Yep.
Regina Woodson, she has a 30-year accounting background experience.
Wow.
And she was an auditor at one
That adds
time.
up over time.
It does. Yeah, it takes its toll. You would know that, wouldn't you? Okay. So anyway, the next thing that they did, they appointed these people, so they'll be new on the DDA. And 3 resolutions were required. And the resolutions were presented by Sue Bassardit, the president.
Let it be resolved.
Right,
that-
declaring that John Duval, who's leaving the Planning Commission, who has served for the last 30 years, by the way,
Wow.
on various committees and councils, including ZBA, Village Council, the Planning Commission, of course, and many, many other.
You get a gold watch for that kind of
Yeah.
service, don't you?
You should get something other than a plaque saying, hey, thank you, goodbye.
Yeah.
No, it's 30 years, and of course, when this is all said and done, got applause,
That's
of course.
a
But
big set of shoes to fill because he was very, very knowledgeable.
right. Unfortunately, he wasn't there, and there were 2 other resolutions given, and one was Ed Hunwick, who served on the DDA board since 2010, has 6 years as a treasurer. You know what kind of a job that is. Tough job. Ed did a great job. And Jerry Crimmins, who's at the DDA, and he owns the Irish pub, of course, downtown.
Sullivan's Irish Pub.
Yep, and so they'll all be leaving. With that, we'll talk more when we come back right after this.
There's a lot of history to Oxford. Hidden around every corner, deep in every crack, and sometimes right in front of you, waiting to be discovered. If you just dig a little, you'll find the great history of our beautiful town. Welcome to Historic Oxford. Canine Stray Rescue does just that. Rescue stray dogs for new families. But they need your help. Become a volunteer at Canine Stray Rescue League of Michigan. Take dogs for walks, help them socialize with others, and help them get adopted. Fill out an application and help a family add a new member today.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're talking about the Oxford Village Council meeting, and the next thing that came up was a public hearing. Chris Corey, who is the from McKenna and Associates was talking about the master plan and changes to the master plan. One concerns the parks and recreation. Another one is transportation plan, which covers sidewalks, streets, that kind of thing. And area redevelopment plan. In other words, where is business going to be expanding to and so forth within the village. The master plan committee is the one that put all this together, and some of the representatives sitting on this council were actually on this committee. So it was submitted for final approval, and of course it was accepted.
All
Great,
right.
went through that one quick, didn't we? Okay, the next one that came up was a call to public, and there were a couple of people that came up, and Tina Heiser, she made a point that the merged coffee, there still is a traffic issue in that area where that business is located. Also, she was concerned about a mailing that she received about Pleasant Street parking, which is near the merge. And the flyer said that it was to be used only for merge or for trailway users only. And it is public parking, just so you folks know that. So she wanted the council to know that as well.
But Merge has their own parking lot, don't they?
That's not their parking lot, as a rule. I mean, the village actually installed it, and the village maintains it.
Okay.
In that sense. So it was put in for use by the merge and for the people on the trailway, but because they had no place to park.
Okay.
So, but it doesn't mean that you folks out there can't park there either. You know, if you have a reason, if you're going to ride your bike, or well, that would be trailway, wouldn't it?
Yep.
I don't know. But there's no reason. If you had a reason, I guess you could do it. Anyway, Tom Claycomb also spoke up, and he was concerned about the water bills and sewer bills. He said that if you're delinquent and you pay your water bill or your sewage bill, they charge a 3 1/3% charge.
If you're late.
Yeah, and he thought that was rather, extensive, much more than what was required.
Try doing that on your credit card and see what happens.
Right, wouldn't work well on the credit card at all. So anyway, so he asked the council to take a look at that, and if there's any possible thing that could be done along, later on. So good idea, Tom. Bills, $154,697.88.
Yay.
Yay! And they said yay.
Well, good.
And they approved it. Okay, unfinished business, rental inspection ordinance. First reading.
The torches and the pitchforks are
Yeah,
out.
right. Bob Davis, who's the village attorney, he based the information on the maintenance code, which is out there, also the state code, maintenance code, and spent some time describing what the new ordinance would be. And in essence, it affects landlords in Oxford. And there's a number of people that stood up. One was Dan Durham, who is the enforcement officer, and he supports, of course, the ordinance, stating that he's seen situations where inside buildings weren't maintained, holes through walls and things like that. And Pete Schultz, who's the fire chief, he stood up and he said he supports the ordinance as well from a safety standpoint. He said that he had been in homes where there's no smoke detectors. He said that he's seen extension cords running under carpets. He's seen holes in walls where people run extension cords through the wall and put multiple appliances on them. He said all
that may not be
hazards.
according to code.
Right. So anyway, so he made his points, and Mike Niemanowski, the police chief from the village, he identified outside blight. He said that his officers do it all the time when they're on the road. If they see something that is, a fire hazard or
Blight.
yeah, it would be like a stairway that's falling down, outside stairway, something along that line. And he points, or the officers then point it to the proper jurisdiction or ordinance within the village, who then take care of it. But Mike said that his officers, of course, normally when they go to a home, they're more concerned about the safety of the residents and what's going on.
Right. Right.
Makes sense.
Yep.
So anyway, Ron Dix, who is a township resident, has been for 25 years, is also a professor in Rochester. I think Oakland or Rochester College, I think he is.
Oh.
And he's also a broker and has been in the housing business for over 50 years. And he's against this, of course, and he's saying, protect the public. What do you mean? There's all types of ordinances and laws and regulations from the state of Michigan that already, there's checklist from the state of Michigan. If you use that checklist, which you're supposed to use, he said you're already complying. And
Yeah,
not only that-
but how do you enforce it?
well, there's other things. If you lease a piece of property, for example, and a renter is there, and when they change, they don't like to be there, somebody else comes in. At the change of new residents, insurance companies come into play. Every renter or every property owner has the insurance company come in. They inspect it, because they're going to make sure that it's safe, or they're not going to insure it, right?
Sure.
And they have to do it after each vacant, resident.
For each new renter.
For each
or
new renter.
leaser.
Yep, they do. So anyway, that provides some checkpoints for this. And if you folks want to learn more, you can go to Michigan.gov, and you can check the laws and regulations out there, and they are there.
But what you're
They just
saying,
need to be
though, what
enforced.
you're saying though is basically that may occur, and things may be brought up to code, as it were. But over time, it goes from a high order state
Right.
to a low order state,
Right.
and needs to be rechecked from time to time.
Well, here's the point.
Oh, the point.
One of the points, and several that they made here, including Buck Kreiderman, who spoke up, is that it's not necessarily the rent or the property owner that's at fault here.
That's
For
true.
example, Chuck Snyder, who also spoke up, he said, "Who ran those holes through the wall with wires through it? Who ran the cables under? Who didn't replace the batteries in the fire?
Sure.
Detectors." He said, "Is it the property
And
owner
who let
that
the
did
dogs
that?"
out?
Right.
No.
He said, "Is it the owner that did that, or is it the renter that did it?"
True.
And he said, "You're gonna, according to your new ordinance, you're gonna nail me for it." So not a good thing.
There's the rub.
Yeah. And the other thing that came up was the point that they said, I'm trying to think of his name, Tim Balak, I believe his name is. He's an electrical contractor. And he says that if you inspect a rental, he said you could be in a situation of violation of discrimination if you only select, the property owner that's renting like that. Otherwise, he said it was proven in court in Ohio. They actually threw the ordinance out because, they picked on the renters, or the renter, the owner.
The owner.
The owner, yeah. And they said
leaseor,
yeah.
not the leasee.
The leaser, yeah. and the thing is that the other homes weren't inspected, so they singled out them to pay the expense for doing all this stuff, and they weren't even responsible for it in many of the cases. So the court in Ohio threw it out. So he just wanted the Oxford Village to understand that it could be an issue down the line. Chuck Snyder is very adamant the fact that there's enough regulations as we have them now. We don't need more. Okay, with that, what's coming up?
Well, we do have meetings. On 10/18 at 7 o'clock, the Village of Oxford Planning Commission will be meeting, and on 10/19 at 3 p.m., the Pollyant Trail Management Council will be meeting at Addison Township offices, and on 10/20 at 7 o'clock, the Village of Leonard Planning Commission. But at 4:30 earlier, the NOTA, North Oakland Transportation Authority, will be meeting in Orion Township offices. And our parent organization on 10/24 will be meeting at 4 o'clock, OACCC. That's you name it, Oxford Area Cable Communication.
You know those guys, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. It'll be meeting at the Village of Oxford offices. And finally,
Yes, finally.
you know what's coming up November 8th? The election. And it isn't just Hillary and Donald that are running. It's a whole raft of people that you may not know about. But
Tell us more.
If you go to the township offices or the library or any of your public offices, you should be able to pick up the League of Women Voters Voter Guide that lets these people explain what they're about and give you some information to base your decision on. And you can fill out this little thing at the end, and you'll walk into that poll knowing exactly who you're going to vote for.
And where do you get this again?
You can I picked this up at the Oxford Township offices. I'm sure the village offices have it too. I think the public libraries have it. But
Look at that. You have no excuse for not knowing what's going on. I'm
absolutely.
Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
We'll catch you right here next time on Minutes by Minute.
All right. Use that.